So there's been new reports on the PlayStation 4.5 or the PlayStation 4K or now being called the PlayStation Neo. So as we know, it's been rumored for a while that PlayStation 4 is going to have a second version coming out that supposedly supports 4K. Now, does that mean 4K gaming or 4K like video watching? It's probably not 4K gaming. Um, so some reports have come out from several websites, including Giant Bomb, and they're reporting that the new specs are going to be the following. For the CPU, we'll have 8 Jaguar cores running at 2.1 gigahertz versus the 8 cores running at 1.6 gigahertz in the original. The GPU will now have 36 CUs at 911 megahertz versus 18 CUs at 800 megahertz. And now the 8 gigs of DDR5 will be at 218 gigabytes per second versus the original, which was only at 175 gigs per second. So yeah, a decent upgrade, but at the same point, definitely not where you would need to have 4K gaming. When you have the 980 that costs $600, barely being able to run not even able to really run 60 frames per second on a at a 4K game. It's ridiculous to think that some people think that the PS4 somehow is going to be able to reach that levels with this. Definitely what it is, it's going to be a 4K, allow 4K video watching, probably for like Netflix and stuff like that, and have slightly better performance, maybe in frame rate, or like actually be able to run all games 1080p 60 FPS. Now, interesting thing also. So now a lot of people have been worried, is this going to replace the PS4? Are games just going to be made for this new PS4.5 and just screw over the people who have just a normal PS4? And they said no. What's going to happen is every game coming out, once the release of this comes out, is going to have a base mode and a Neo mode. Which means a base mode will just have the standard stuff that a normal PS4 can run, and then the Neo mode would be taking advantage of this this stronger hardware. And so at least it's not separating the fan base. So everyone, and they're not allowing any companies to make exclusives just for the Neo. Your game has to be able to run on both the PS4 standard and on this new PS4. So good thing if this is true, because this is all still rumors and speculation. But if this is true, Sony is being smart about this and not getting people angry who just bought a PS4 and feel like they're getting screwed. So, positive on that end. Personally, yeah, it seems like understandable. They always tend to have a upgrade every 3 years for a console, like they had for the PS3, I believe. Maybe it was 2 years, but usually it hasn't really been much in specs, maybe just in performance and power consumption, size, and stuff like that. So seeing a nice jump in specs is cool, considering honestly the PS4 is fairly underpowered, and considering like what kind of games that we want to play nowadays. It's struggling to get 1080p 60 FPS. Most games running maybe 1080p 30 FPS, or you're dropping the resolution for a higher frame rate, and it's it is outdated. So maybe it is smart for them to do this, so they can at least keep hopefully a steady 1080p at 60 FPS. But I could see people getting mad at this for a few reasons. People thinking that their PS4, standard is going to become useless. And then people I also see giving the PC argument, being like, hey, why not just get a PC at this point if you're just going to be upgrading the hardware? Which I still don't think it's at that extreme in terms of what the console is still theoretically doing, because we know the big thing with the consoles is that it's still plug and go. You don't really have to upgrade it personally. You just kind of buy the whole set as hardware and then it's ready to go. So I don't think it's that big, but I can definitely see the argument and the fear coming in the future where now the consoles are being like, hey, upgrade your hardware every so often, because performance and stuff, and how fast hardware is upgrading. One thing to note is that a lot of people are still scared about, like, hey, how hard is it to upgrade to this? How much is it going to cost? And if Sony's going to give out good deals to basically trade in your current PS4 for a new one. And yeah, that's one thing to be worried, you know. If you look at somewhere like GameStop, for example, I know they don't have the best deals, but if you trade in your PS4 right now, just a standard PS4, you get like $200 trade-in credit, which isn't much if you're thinking that this new console is going to be maybe $500. Personally, I think it's probably going to be around $400, and maybe you'll get half of that if you trade in your PS4 realistically. I'm not sure if there's going to be a bigger hard drive or anything in this. They haven't really said anything. Hopefully it comes standard with a terabyte, because right now the 500 gigs hard drives are just way too small. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to remark on. Hopefully they will give an announcement soon, because with all these rumors, people are just going to be making dumb speculations at some point, and Sony has to realize that, like, hey, we need to say something about this, you know, before it gets out of hand and people get frustrated or annoyed. One extra cool thing to note is that they said that any older PS4 games will be able to take advantage of this new hardware, but I mean, of course, they have to release it in a patch. I'm not really sure if many games are actually going to take this and actually use it. I mean, I could see some games like Uncharted possibly doing this, because, you know, Uncharted is pushing the limits of the system and is an exclusive. But in terms of other games, doubtful. I doubt, you know, developers really want to go back and fix up old games that are, you know, past, you know, their selling point, to be honest. But yeah, it just doesn't seem like now we're pretty certain it's going to be a new system, a new console, not an actual just like add-on to your current PS4. I didn't know how that was even theoretically going to work, but I know some people were like, hey, maybe it's just an add-on. But yeah, if they release it for about $400, which was the price of the standard PS4 when it released, then yeah, I could see it being successful. So it definitely has potential, because, you know, people who are buying PS4 still will start buying this new model at that price. Another interesting thing to remark is, are we gonna see a drop in price for the standard PS4? We all know it's kind of at the 300 mark. That's pretty much where it is, whether it's in bundles or in you know, online you can buy. Seeing another price drop in that would be surprising, but I could see it going, you know, secondhand or like on eBay and stuff like that for probably around like $250 at this point, when if the PS4.5 drops, because that's going to be the new standard. And also, it's interesting to see if the PS4 user base is going to increase, because more people will be able to afford the cheaper PS4s. More people, and then, you know, the new fans will move on to the more expensive PS4s. You know, there's a lot to take in, and you know, everything at this point is still speculation. But we'll see how it goes. And thanks for listening. If you liked what I had to say, subscribe for more gaming, more general news of any nerd culture, and I appreciate it. Take it easy.